Good morning. Good morning. Hi, I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com, and welcome to my one word conversations. Um, I am still getting used to a lot of the technology and just doing this show, but the one thing that I'm learning about this is that it is showing me some of the things that I felt that were reasons why I wasn't doing things. I'm learning that they are really excuses because by just scheduling this show on a daily basis, I realized that it has motivated me to stay in action, and really staying in action is the key to making a difference. So I'm so excited to have the conversation today because our word of today is pivoting. And this is probably one of those words that has come up for you in this time, or maybe it hasn't. And the reason why I picked pivoting versus pivot is because a part of me feels that there's an action to my pivot. And too often, for me, pivot just stays in my head. It's like, should I pivot? Maybe, all that other kind of stuff. But really embracing the action within it will have it. So I would love to bring in my friend, the conversation. And let's bring in Holly. And I caught you just in time. I should be a waiter, right?
That's amazing. That is, let's be honest here, though. That's Holly in truest form with a massive cup of coffee right next to her.
Well, thank you very much. I was so busy and trying to get everything together, and I was like, okay, I just need to get her on the screen. And then I was like, oh crap, she's drinking something.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Holly, I would love for you to introduce yourself however you would like.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm Holly Callaway. I run Powerhouse Consulting, which is a small business consulting agency. You can call me a consultant, you can call me a coach. And I run the Powerhouse. It's a group on Facebook for women who own small businesses. A lot of them are from Greenville. We've got we're inching up on 1,100 women in the group. And that's what I spend my day doing. So I met William. We met on what was that call? Was it the 1 million?
On a Zoom call. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like virtually, right?
All of these, the world switching to Zoom has actually been super beneficial for me in a lot of ways. So that I got to meet you. That was awesome.
I know there is a number of people that I reached out to and tried to, get coffee with that never had time for me, but they have have taken virtual coffees.
You're
so
like,
I've had a lot more
spend an
virtual
hour
coffee.
doing literally anything with another human being right now. Okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. So when you think of pivot or pivoting, what comes to mind for you?
I think this has been the meme from Friends where they're trying to get the couch up the stairs and he's just yelling pivot. That's for always the first thing. We've moved, my husband and I have moved, it's just a random story. My husband and I have moved like 28 times in 12 years or so. We're kind of nomads for sure. I don't know what I was in a past life, but it was definitely not somebody who, settled on the farm and raised animals, because we move all over the place. And I can't tell you how many, I am really good at getting a couch in a door or up a staircase because my brain can do the geometry, and we've just gotten really good at it.
I've needed you many times because that's like, I have no idea how I'm going to get this couch in here.
Yep. Usually on its end with the armrest in, and then you just have to turn and twist. It's not necessarily about the pivot as much as the twist, but so the complete aside, that's what I think of first. But when COVID hit, I changed from, I'm a chiropractor by trade. That's what I went to school to do. among other things. I was one of those, millennial babies that tried 7 majors before she found what really resonated with her. And so I finally actually got my degree in chiropractic and was running a clinic. And I thought I was really bad at business, and from previous attempts, and my family has had, tried and failed a couple of different things. And so I just thought I was bad at it. And then I realized if I was going to open a clinic, that was a business. And if I were going to have patients were basically clients. So I had to figure out how to do this. And I was frustrated that there wasn't as much support as I wanted there to be, especially for women who were doing something that was outside of societal norm, right? Like I wasn't looking for a job. I was trying to do my own thing. Right. And so I started this little Facebook group called the Powerhouse. There wasn't anything on social media at the time, especially locally. Like there were really big groups, but there wasn't anything that was connecting me with people that I could sit and have coffee with. I wanted to know women that I could actually sit down with physically, who would hold me accountable for things and help me, get my marketing on point and things like that. So I started the Powerhouse, and I taking some online courses for business, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, reading books. I'm like a voracious reader, more listener than reader. I listen to
me too. I
had somebody argue
with my friends, right?
Yeah, I love Audible. I have all the badges, right? Somebody argued with me one time that I didn't read books and it wasn't the same. And I was like, I get the information faster than you do.
Right. And look, we're all different learners. And that's a pivot for me. And, it started in my mind that it's like, geez, I'm such a horrible reader because it takes me so long to get this stuff. And when I fully embrace Audibles and say, you know what, hey, I'm getting this. I'm getting it fast. I'm getting it in. And if I want to get a book, and sometimes don't tell my wife, there are some books that I have on Audible and a print copy, right? And
do you have the trifecta where I've got some that I have on Kindle, bought the audio to go with it so I could read and listen depending on what I was doing, and then wanted to highlight stuff. So I bought the print also.
Right. Yeah. So it's just an Audible. It's just an Audible, right? So yeah.
No, I love Audible.
It starts in your mind, and I think if you can't even see the possibility of something, you won't move. I think it's a part of our beliefs. It's a part of our thinking, our upbringing, and all of that. And it just realized that I realized that I think I brought it up on Monday or Tuesday, that I have a really unhealthy relationship to consistency, and what it means. I understand the importance of being consistent.
Right.
However, sometimes I will just stay on something and say, this has to change, and it's like, dude, do something else, right? This is not
maybe
working.
Not check in, right? Oh, and that's funny. And that leads me right where I was headed with that, is that I was running a chiropractic practice, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, doing all the courses, and was recognizing that like basic fundamentals of marketing and mindset and sales don't change. Like they're all the same, and it doesn't matter who's telling you. You hear it different ways based on where it's coming from or whatever. And it became simple. I could boil it down into, okay, so there are basic foundations. It's just how do they work for you and what you're doing. And so I was figuring it out for me, but I also had the Powerhouse. So I'm sharing it with them. And the more I shared with them, the more I had people saying, can we just do this as like a class or like a workshop so that we can sit down and really like talk about it, hash it out. I was having all these coffees where we would spend the whole hour strategizing for their business. Right. And I loved it. And my brain went, okay, but you just spent $280,000 getting a degree in chiropractic. That money is not, that debt is not going anywhere. You spent 2 years building the practice that you wanted. You have patients. At the time I had patients who were under care plans. But everything in my brain was going, but you love this. And I love chiropractic. Practicing chiropractic for an empath was very draining. I wanted to fix everybody's problems, but I also wanted people to be invested in fixing their own problems. And when you're the doctor in America, we expect the doctor to fix the problem.
Right.
And in chiropractic, it's so much It's as much about you doing the work as it is me. But when you're coaching, people expect to have to do the work. When you're helping somebody with their health, they expect you to do it, right? So I pivoted in a very massive, massive way. And the first thing my brain said was, stick with this. It's working. The practice was growing at an exponential rate. Financially, we were doing really well. Everything was healthy. I had it down to a system and a procedure, all of the marketing, sales, but also how my practice worked, how patient care went in my brain and my gut. I was really, really fortunate. If you don't know Sarah Ballard yet, I've got to get you in contact with her. So she runs a place called Nectar Community, which is an all-female co-working space. But she's very... Women in business feel like we have to be more like men to be successful. That's just, there's not all. Some of us have it down. Some of them have it down better than others. But the sort of that overarching feeling is you have to do things the black and white, very structured way, like a man would do to be successful. And Sarah was really good at stopping me and saying, Holly, what does your gut say? What does your intuition say? What does what does your heart say? Stop thinking, start feeling. Your body will tell you what's right. And that's a superpower that women have that men have to try a lot harder. We just have to shut up and listen. And my everything inside, like all of my intuition said, this is the path you're supposed to be on. But if I hadn't met her, that pivoting would have been a lot harder. In that moment, that was easier. So that's what I was doing then when COVID hit, is coaching 1,000 women who have businesses that they now can't run the same way. And so I think that's where you and I got connected with this, especially this word.
Right.
How do you change? How do you move? How do you do something different? Not because you want to. When I moved, like when I changed positions, it's because I wanted to, because it was what felt right. Everybody else got forced to. And that's a whole different story.
Great. And also there is a guilt or a shame that, this failure. I mean, that's how I felt when I had to pivot or kind of do something differently. It was like, geez, I suck. I have to go at this, a different way.
Did I fail? We're all worried about failure.
Right. Yeah. And it's like now there is this, now you're forced to, or there is little options. There was Tony Robbins, I learned the saying of burning the boats or something. I don't know.
Burning the ships, man. Yeah.
Burning the ships, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, when I first heard that, I had no listening for that, because it was like, no, there's always options, right?
There's always a plan B and a backup. Yeah.
There's always something, and it is, but there was that, even though I was the option guy, I would like beat a dead horse. So it was like there's a lot of crazy stuff happening with me, right?
Well, we all do the mind games of like, well, who do we listen to and in what context and what did they mean? Because I'm all for burning the ships too. Like if you're going to go into something, go in. I tell people all the time to get rid of their safety net. People think I'm nuts, right? Like if you're going to do your own thing and run your own business, you have to get rid of that sense of security from something else. Right. So quit your job. People think I'm crazy. They're like, but it's my income. I'm like, right. And when you don't have any, you're going to figure out how to make it. If it's still there, guess how hard you work on making it's your motivation if you have no safety net. And that's the same thing as burning the ships is there is no plan B. At some point you may need to adapt and pivot. Right. But for right now, there's no plan B. You have to go in as if there is no other option.
Right. And so is there, have you found a moment where it is, stick to it or pivot? Is what is the ingredients, or have you seen anything that say, okay, you just need, I don't want to say suck it up and do it, but this is a pivot time. Is there any signs of, hey, this is a pivot time versus a stick to it time?
We play with the idea of, so I have private coaching clients, and then we have like group coaching, and then I have the big free group. And so with private coaching and with the group coaching, we have moments of, is this not working because you didn't give it enough time? And do you still want to try? We do accountability and goal setting all the time, and we check in regularly. So did you hit the goal? Why or why not? If you didn't, and we try to do goals as actionable items. So what can you actually be? If it's contacting 5 people a day, did you do it? And if you didn't, is there a reason why? Does it actually need to be done? Is it arbitrary? Is it just something you put on the list because you thought it might be something good to do? Or did you put it on the goal list because that's actually how you're going to build your business and you need to suck it up and do it? So we check in a lot. And with my private clients, my favorite phrase is, how do you feel about it? So like back to that intuition thing with the how to know when to pivot. Firstly, don't ever try all of the things at one time. So you try, like, if, say we're talking about marketing and you want to do Facebook ads. Doing Facebook ads for two weeks doesn't do anything ever. Like there's just not enough time. So if you're going to do something, commit to an amount of time if it's really the right thing to be doing. So check in with yourself. Right. Is this really the step I need to be taking? And if it is, right, then give it time. Put in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever that is, unless there's something in you that goes, this is wrong, I need to change. And then if you get to that 3 months, measure it, make sure you know whether or not that's a good thing. If you can, like, we try to do everything as some sort of measurable objective as well. And if it's really not working, we look into why. But the pivot, it's so much about checking in. Like, check in with yourself. What are your goals? Are we reaching them? Are we not? Is this really what you still want to be doing? Does it make any sense? It takes people so long to shut up and listen to themselves. We have all of this like constant barrage of Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and Marie Forleo and whoever you listen to.
Right.
And then we want to take it all and to get out of, so a lot of the people I help are coming out of a W-2 situation and are going into their own thing. To steel yourself for that situation, you do a lot of like self-talk, a lot of like, I'm going to do it and it's going to work and I can do the thing that's going to make it happen. And we start feeling like we have to force something. And it's not always about the forcing. It's about, but are you on the right path? And it's almost like what I do is chip away at that and get back to, but listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your gut, know whether or not what you're doing is correct, and then continue to make the steps. And whenever it's not right anymore, you pivot. So it really, it depends on the person and the situation and everything else. So much of it goes back to, well, numbers. If it's really just a matter of, I'm doing the thing, there's 3 ways to get there. I tried this way for a while. Maybe I need to go on to thing 2. Well, did you do it for long enough? Let's just start. Yeah. Did you try long enough? If it's still something you want to do, like if this is still the outcome you're looking for, keep trying, like maybe change it, adapt a little bit, move a little piece of it around. Do we need to scrap it and start over? Do we need to do variation B of that thing? If it's small, if they're small pivots, we just call it adapting. How can we change a little bit? With things like COVID, where there was no option, we went, how do we pivot and keep the essence of what the thing is? So like my salon women, we have women who own salons. They're whole salons with W-2 or with 1099 employees and everything else. Well, how do we keep the essence of what I do when I can't have people in my chair? How do we pivot that way? Like what stays the same and what has to change?
Right. There's a part of my coaching. It's shattering the box coaching. I say that there's some times that you have to go beyond thinking out of the box. You have to shatter the box. You have to open yourself up to unlimited possibilities. Mm-hmm. And before this time, the resistance that I would get was, I like my box, why are you trying to shatter it? Right, why are you trying to shatter it? I'm right, and all that. But now people have the listening for, I guess I got to do something else. Okay, how can I get out of this thinking? I really believe that how we look at work or our work is changing. And if we don't embrace that new reality, we're going to try to go back into the box. And it's like, no, hon, the box, you can't.
There's no pieces of the box left. Sorry, we got rid of it.
And it is, it's going to be very interesting. I was talking to someone about just wrapping my head around reopening the economy. There's still parts of the economy, of the emerging economy, is open. There's a lot of people going online, and there's a lot of business still happening. But I think that it is more of what economy is going to emerge fully, where many more people can participate in it, and it's going to have to take a pivot, a way of thinking, of freeing our mind of the old way, of how we see our work, how we look at ourselves. And I love how you were saying to just check in. Too often we just don't know where we are. We're just so busy doing, we don't know how we're being, right?
Yep.
Exactly. And it just gets in the way.
Yeah, there's been, firstly, when all of this started, I was like, I've had this in my brain for forever. When, some store, it might be like Amazon stores, right? You can walk in, get what you need, and walk out. And they basically, like, if you're a customer, you keep a keychain or something, and they just scan what you have with you. So you don't even have to stop to check out, right? Just walk in, get what you need, and you leave. And it's all of the stocking is also automated. So like stuff comes in off the truck, they put it basically in like a chute. And so nobody has to go face the shelves. Like, have you ever worked at a grocery store or like a retail store?
No.
You pull everything to the front and you turn it all the right way. So it looks like the shelves are full, whatever. Those people don't work there, and they don't have people at the registers because there are no registers. And for whatever reason, that got my brain going to, they've got drones delivering stuff for Amazon, and you can get your Kindle books and you don't even need one in real life. And we can all talk to each other via Messenger or Zoom or, whatever. At what point do we just not have to leave our houses anymore? So I've had this thought for a while. I'm like, where is that in our future, that we become basically the society that's in that movie WALL-E, except not in space? We're just going to do it here on Earth, where nobody has to go outside for anything if you don't want to. If you work from home and they'll deliver everything you need, why go anywhere? So I've had this in my head for a while. And then this happened. And I was like, this is how it works. This is what happens. Everybody ordered their toilet paper on Amazon, and they used Ship to get their groceries, and everybody stayed in their homes. So that whole pivot didn't surprise me. And I was like, I feel like I've been preparing for this by watching a lot of apocalyptic movies, right? Like I watch all the dystopian weird stuff, and I'm like, I could live in that world. Obviously we all can, like we're all doing okay. So I felt like weirdly prepared for helping people pivot into this. But I do think this is the exciting part watching it. I think we need to unlearn the security of our jobs. Right. If you have a W-2 job, it's not, you are more secure. It's less risky to work for yourself, to be honest, because you're in control of all of it. Does it take more work? Yes. Does it take energy? Yes. Does it take planning? Yes. Like all of those things are necessary. But it's still, I can't lay me off. I mean, I can, I guess I could just quit working, but all of my results are up to me and not anybody else. So it's unlearning that. And a lot of people, and I there's a book called Unscripted that my friend turned me on to. You should read it sometime.
Okay, and I'll put it in the notes.
Author, Mark something.
Okay. I'll look at it and put it in the notes.
Yeah, the concept of the book is basically that the world is, or at least our country is scripted into believing that the only thing we can be is a cog in the wheel. The only thing that we're created for is to help build somebody else's fortune and company and everything else. So unlearning that, realizing that living for 2 weeks of vacation and the weekend is no way to live, and that you can actually dictate how you spend your days if you just take control of what you're selling and what you want to do with your day. So I love the book. I love the concept. Most of what I do is helping people unlearn that, is unlearn the security of a W-2 job and recognizing the type of work it takes to do your own thing, but then also the freedom that brings, because discipline brings freedom. One of my favorite quotes ever, and I think it's a Tony Robbins quote. Helping people realize that, but this situation forced it. It forced people to think. So for some people it was a force, and for some people it was an opportunity. They finally got to think about, I die a little bit inside, talking to somebody when I can see the spark in their eye of, I really just wish I could do my own thing. Like you can tell they have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
And it just gets pounded down with everybody in their lives being on the script. Everybody's saying, but it's so risky. The W-2 job is better. You get benefits and you get the 401k. And what about your, your health insurance? And what about your Social Security? And all of the little things that they've told us that make us think that that's better. If that's your world, that's fine. Like if that works for you, 80% of the population is perfectly happy living that life. But if you're part of the 20% that's not, and I see the spark and you tamp it back down because of what's your environment, I die a little bit inside. I'm like, no. Stoke it. Stoke that fire. And let's give you tools to figure out how to do this, because it's killing them inside. Right. And I hate that for people. So this gave people an opportunity. Like if you were laid off and now you're home, you just had 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. And who knows when we're done with this mess,
right?
To figure out what that's like. Like, let's unlearn. Let's spend the time working on mindset. Let's spend the time making a strategy. Let's spend the time perfecting your message and your product and your market. Like, let's spend that time doing that. And so freeing them, we took away the barrier, right? We took away the safety factor and let them relearn. And so it wasn't just, we forced people, right, to look at it a different way, but we allowed people who already have that tendency to really dive into it. And that's made me so happy. And so much of my work is helping people break down their own barriers. And this is a massive tool for that. Like the government handed them a sledgehammer and went, break down that barrier. You're welcome.
Right. And it, the one thing that was coming up when you were speaking is that, we're conditioned to believe, that, our work, our job was it for it, the security and everything like that. And we were also conditioned to believe that when we're not at work, we are to do nothing. We just, there's, so there's not self-reflection, there's not, self-care, there's not anything else.
Watch NCIS, go to bed.
I am just going to sit and wait until I go back to work, right?
Yep.
And this is an opportunity for us to break that narrative too, that, hey, all the things that I said that I was too busy to do, I can do it. And look, you don't have to do it all in a day, and that's sometimes people get like, okay, I got all this time, and you just kind of just go crazy, and then you do nothing,
because that's relaxing, and that's what we've been conditioned to do too, right? Like, oh, you're not working hard, then you deserve to relax.
Right.
No, I deserve to meditate and take care of myself, and
and recharge and do all those. And do all those things.
Go for a hike. I
was on a call. The other thing that came up, I was on a call the other day, and there was a new business owner, and she was saying the one thing that she has gotten out of this time is that her belief that she couldn't work at home with her kids. She was sending her kids to daycare. And she realized that, I can get things done with the kids here, and just tell them to be over in their room or working on something. And it's like, so maybe I don't need to spend all the money that I was spending on daycare. And it's just those moments that it may be some days is daycare, but not all the time, or some days. And the more that we look at where in our lives that we can make some changes or make some adjustments that really work for us. I mean, when you were thinking about, when you were talking about, that we can stay home and get everything delivered, what I was thinking about is that there are going to be times where we're outside and we're not, and instead of just being out.
Right.
I have noticed in my neighborhood and surrounding in my neighborhood that there's a park, that there's a lot more people in the park than there was before. And I was like, well, is it because now I'm taking a head count that I see a lot more people?
Right.
Or is it that people feel that, hey, I'm going to socially distance and be out, walking or doing things that they felt that they didn't have time to, or they didn't, they, it wasn't a priority before. It's really our opportunity, our chance to really look at our life and say, hey, what are my non-negotiables? What are the things that I am going to do so I am not forced to make these decisions or these choices? And I wonder if there's anyone that's watching. I don't know. I think you said you had
thing going.
a watch party.
That's why
if anybody has any comments,
any
any comments. But if anybody has any comments or anything that they want to ask in our last few minutes, here, it would be great, and we kind of add it in. But no, this is great, and just I wonder if there is if we can gamify pivoting. Kind of make it fun, make it, right. Just kind of say, hey, this isn't hard. This is, this can be fun. Just look at areas in your life that you can have fun with doing something differently, or just kind of just looking at what you're doing.
It was kind of cool. It kicked us all off autopilot. It kicked everybody off autopilot. Like everybody who was doing the same routine. The only piece of my routine that I really hung on to was trying to get up. I'm not a morning person naturally, but I know I'm a better person when I make myself be a morning person. And so because I have children and I'm tired at the end of the day, so I can get more done in the morning. And especially like clear-headed stuff. I call it, I should really come up with a new word, but I call it a brain dump, or like a brain diarrhea. Or brain vomit. Get rid of everything, right? Brain vomit on the page. The last time I got a book, this is actually the notebook. I got a much fatter notebook this time because I run out of them too fast. Because there's a lot of brain vomit first thing in the morning to get out of my head. That time frame is beautiful. So I still try to get to bed at a decent hour, and I get up. I try for about 5:30. Now it's wavered. I'm not getting up till about 6:15, but I also don't have to get my daughter ready for school. I don't have to rush out the door to get to my workspace, because my workspace is my bedroom. I know I said right before the call, people don't need to know my home office is also my bedroom. And then I say it out loud. This is
that's what you do.
I'm wearing a jacket and earrings to sit at a desk in my bedroom today. This is the world we live in. But there's no routine anymore. And if I feel like when there's no networking, I used to be out of the house for 12 to 16 hours a day, because I'd take my daughter to school, and then I wouldn't be home until networking was over. And there was an event most nights of the week. So I could be out 2, 3, 4 nights a week meeting people and building my business. And now most networking, some of it is starting to come around on Zoom, but most of it was just gone for a month or two. And so I've had dinner with my family so many times, and I'm not rushing around. And if I want to take a break from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, I just go down and hang out with my kids. So all of the routine is gone. All of the autopilot is gone. And the people who didn't have to go to work or who don't have to get up in the morning and now have time to do stuff like play your Xbox. How excited are grown people to be I'm back in the gaming because I can. Funny too, watching that lasted about 2 weeks, and people were like, well, that was fun. Now what? Freedom! High school seniors, right? We can do whatever we want. And then they were like, oh, but I feel like a human that should probably go outside and do things. But we all got kicked off autopilot. And then we went, well, but maybe if I want to play Xbox, I do that sometimes, and I don't wait for a pandemic to happen. I just go do it because it's fun and I can, or whatever that is. I think it's been amazing to watch people in and amongst the panic, and in and amongst that, what do I do? And when is it going to be over? And the worry and the anxiety, which I've been there. I've been there with the worry and anxiety, and I hope there's a stimulus check coming in the whole nine. But also watching people paint again, the art that's come up on my Facebook, or people cook. I've watched people learn to cook in the last 8 weeks. And they're this is going to save me so much in groceries. And it turns out I really like making bread, and it's been awesome. It's been so much fun. It's awful. This whole thing is terrible, but it's been fun to watch The
Yeah,
pivoting. It's been fun to watch
yeah.
the pivoting.
And I love your, we've been kicked out of autopilot.
You
And
have to think about it
because,
again. It's crazy.
right, I wonder if that is, I guess, our discomfort or our dis-ease, that now, I can't live my life on autopilot anymore. I have to be I have to be present to my life,
Yeah, I have to think about things again.
Right. I have to
Nobody's doing it for me.
and look, and maybe look, there may be some actual health issues for reopen the economy, and I get it, and I'm still trying to figure it out. You try to get some information or not, but the reality is that we can't just stay at people's word. We have to do what we need to do to stay safe. If that means wearing a mask, wearing gloves, so we can go out to do things or to do work or to meet with people. If now meeting people, we don't hug them or shake their hands, and we're talking to everybody through a mask for a while, that is the life. But to just say, you know what, I am just going to just stop, go from, not pause, just stop. And I think a lot of people, this is a pause for me. I see it as a pause, not a hard stop. And I think there's some people that the reason why pivoting is so hard or difficult, or they don't even want to talk about it in some cases, is because it would require for them to do something. There is an action to, it's not just, okay, now what? It is, okay, let's do something.
Make a choice and make the thing happen.
And make the move.
I found that everybody falls into some category of people, right? Like you find your tribe, you find your people.
Right.
And one of my favorite things to talk about is people, as in when you say, but people don't do that. Which people? Who are we talking about? Like we like to generalize as a whole, and we tend to generalize skewed to our own experiences. So if I would never buy a Prada bag because who spends that kind of money? I say people don't spend that kind of money, and then Prada never makes the bag, right? If they listen.
Right.
Prada didn't. Prada still makes bags, and people still buy them.
Right.
People. Maybe not my people, but some people. Right. So there's this whole idea of where you fall in with which people, which is a huge marketing thing. Know that there's somebody who will buy whatever you sell at whatever price point. That person exists. So just sell it. Just find that person and sell it to them. But also recognizing for yourself, I thought for a long time that people didn't want to work jobs and people were in a growth mindset. That's not true. There are some people, and then there are a lot of people who aren't. And actively choosing to put yourself through any growth process is painful. Right. Emotionally, physically, relationally, mentally, it's going to suck, but it'll be better on the other side. But most people, because we have free will, you have the choice, depending on what your religious beliefs are. We have the choice to, and I've found people go one of two ways on a spectrum. And of course it's a spectrum, so it's not like black and white. But you either chase growth, which is pain, and are rewarded with the pleasure that comes from it. So you go to the gym, but you are, you have a BMI that's healthy and you're healthy and you look nice, right? You go to marital counseling, that sucks and is hard, but you have a better marriage on the other side of it. You actually work through relational issues and then you have a good relationship. You go to therapy and you bawl for an hour, but then you find the healing from the trauma. So you chase pain, but you get the good reward. Or you chase pleasure, and that's all you ever get is but that pleasure for you, if you're happy and that's good, and like what you want is to watch Seinfeld and go to bed, and that is fulfilling for you, and that makes you happy, that's fine. So many people, it's not fulfilling, but they're not willing to chase the pain and the growth cycle of things. And I think that people want to grow. And that's not always true. But my people, the people I end up surrounding myself with, because it's what I have most in common with. So you find your tribe, right? You don't want to get kicked out of the tribe. You find other people like you. My people want pain and they want to grow because they know the other side of it is good. But not everybody's like that. And that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Just recognizing that Yeah, we got kicked off autopilot. You had to think, and some people will go right back to autopilot.
Right.
Some people are
And
just like, that was uncomfortable. I don't want to do it again.
right.
And they won't. And then some people got uncomfortable and went, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the reward was kind of nice. So maybe I'll get uncomfortable again. And those are the people I'm excited about that
Right.
felt it and we're like, I know I'm going to do that again.
I
And
got
then
it.
end up with better lives in the end.
No, I use no, I think that's great. The language that I use is labels. I think our I use the the entrepreneurial label, the mom label, and everything. And the labels will hang out with each other. They will fight for each other. They'll do they'll do what it is. And it's I say I am my labels. I'm not my labels. And so we're more than that. But when we're trying to, labels aren't good or bad, right?
Right.
There is just a way that we identify ourselves and kind of move through some things and really being able to speak to labels. I'm going through this transition in my business. I am William Brown, about speaking to dreamers and dreamers that feel that their dream is getting away from them, or they should give up on it. And and I resisted that label because I was like, there's so many people that don't see themselves as a dreamer, and there's so many things that it may make people feel like they don't want to self-identify, right? Because I want to be practical. I want to be right. I want to be practical. I want to be about my business, all that kind of stuff. But what I really got for myself, I've been on this entrepreneurial journey for, well over, 15 years, with some successes and failures. And until recently, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I never connected a business going out of business, that was connected to somebody's dream, that was connected to someone's family. It was like, crap, now when I see an going out of business sign, I feel like somebody may have lost their dream. Somebody may have are now doubting themselves. And I want to be able to speak to that, to, yes, let's dust you off. Let's kind of, encourage you and kind of move on. Those are the labels or the people that I want to speak to, because that's what I needed for my, when I lost, I don't tell too many people this, when I lost almost $500,000 on this great idea for my business, it was like, that hurts. And I had people say to me, there's going to come a day where that's not going to feel as bad. Well, it still does now. Right? We're not at that day, right?
Yeah, right. Maybe someday, but for now, honor that pain, man. It's all right.
And and it is one of those things that the more that I embrace that I'm a dreamer and that I have a dream, that I'm willing to go after the pain to get to reward. That's what it's all about, and it's within that pivot, and it's like, it's not, I can be consistent to the dream, but I can make some moves within that to make sure that that dream becomes my reality in my life.
Absolutely. And staying consistent, right? Being willing to pivot and adapt that's the answer. You asked before, when do I know? It's a mix, right? You stay consistent to the dream, but you pivot and adapt in between.
Right. Wonderful. Now, is there anything else that you want to leave us with? This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm just looking forward to talking to you again, or seeing you in public.
Actual coffee. Like, let's sit down.
I know, it's like, hey, it's like, it seems like, hey, wait, that's a crazy thing.
Oh man, I'm such an adaptive human being. I think I've talked about this with the women in the Powerhouse quite a bit because of the way I grew up. And when this all happened, I just adapted. I was like, oh, this is what we do different. And now it all feels like a normal that I have, don't have coffee with people. Like I've almost forgotten what that's like to take that time. But just to, to leave you with the idea that exactly what we were just talking about, that yes, you have to stay consistent, but pivoting and adapting is so important within getting there. Like don't give up, don't stop. If you have something that's screaming inside of you to go do this thing, find a way to go do it and pivot and adapt as needed, but keep the end goal in mind and find your people, man. Find your people. This has been a very common theme the last couple of weeks, because as people are pivoting, the people in their corner, like their support system, don't understand. And when somebody doesn't understand something, they see it as a threat, and they'll try to save you from yourself out of good intentions. But it's really, it hurts when somebody that you love is telling you that what you're doing is dumb and you shouldn't keep trying that, and you're probably going to fail. And that's really hard. So find that support system. And I would like to encourage, if you're a woman watching this and you're in business, you own a business, you run a business, come find us at the Powerhouse. It's just the Powerhouse. It's a white circle with black writing, because it turns out on Facebook, the Powerhouse is a very common name for gyms. I don't run a gym. Maybe a mental gym, maybe a marketing gym, but I do not run a mental gym. But it's in, it says, I think it's, that Powerhouse is our group name. So if you find that, that's us, but we're your support system, man. We are people. That Brene Brown quote about being in the ring next to me, like, I don't care about your opinion unless you're in the arena with me. We're in the arena with you, man. Like there's 1,000 of us in there, all in the arena, getting beat up and bloodied and battling to the death for the life that we know we deserve to live. And we're your people. So find your people. We're it if you have the right parts and you're on Facebook.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, thank you very much. If you can stay in the green room, and I will end the show.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me, William. It was a blast. No,
it's been great. Well, this has been an exciting show. I'm still getting used to all of this stuff, and maybe after a while I'll get a producer, so I won't have so many hands going, and I can just stay within the conversation. But if you want to reach out to me, I'm on IamWilliamBrown.com. I'll be making some updates and some changes on there, and kind of letting you see how I'm showing up online. And within this conversation around disconnect to connect, I'm going to be doing some other things of, having a book club and conversations and talking about different ways that we can disconnect and connect. So thank you very much. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Go be you.